Hey, welcome. Whenever there's a huge breakthrough in medicine, it's the big discovery that grabs all the headlines. But behind the scenes, there are these tiny, unsung heroes, molecular tools that make it all happen. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and meet some of these secret helpers. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, so let's start with a little puzzle. What do you think powerful new vaccines, incredible gene editing tools, and those revolutionary cancer therapies all have in common? I mean, on the surface, they seem like they're from completely different worlds, don't they? But it turns out they all share a really important secret.
And here's the answer. Not a single one of them would work nearly as well without these little, invisible helpers doing the heavy lifting. We're talking about specially designed molecules that act like bodyguards, genetic matchmakers, and even universal keys. So let's meet our first one.
First up, we've got something called an adjuvant. Now, the easiest way to think about an adjuvant is as a vaccine's personal bodyguard. When that vaccine goes into your body, the adjuvant is right there with it, making absolutely sure it gets the job done right.
So, what is it really? Well, the official definition is that an adjuvant is a substance that's added to a vaccine just to kick your body's immune response into a higher gear. It makes the vaccine way more effective. And what's really important to get is that the adjuvant itself doesn't give you immunity. It just makes the main ingredient in the vaccine work so much better. So, why even bother with a bodyguard? Well, it's all about getting more bang for your buck, immunologically speaking. Adjuvants can take a really weak signal from a vaccine and make your immune system see it as a huge deal. That means we can use less of the active ingredient in each dose, and the protection you get can last a whole lot longer. It's all about creating a stronger, more durable response.
And here's how it works its magic. First, it forms a little supply depot right at the injection site, slowly trickling out the antigen. This gives your immune system more time to notice and react. Then, it's like a wake-up call for your key immune cells. It boosts their communication signals, and it helps them present the bad guy to your T cells way more effectively. Honestly, it's basically a hype man for your immune system.
All right, on to our next secret helper. If adjuvants are bodyguards, then you can think of linkers as the ultimate genetic matchmakers. You see, in the super complex world of DNA, getting two different pieces to connect just right can be really tricky, and that's exactly where a linker steps in.
So technically, a linker is just a short, custom-made piece of DNA. Its whole job is to act as a perfect bridge between two other DNA molecules that they can't connect on their own. It does this by adding a special docking site that both pieces can latch onto. Now, here's the problem they were invented to solve. Sometimes, when scientists are working with DNA, they end up with fragments that have what are called blunt ends. Just think of two perfectly smooth surfaces. Trying to glue them together, it's almost impossible. DNA needs a jagged or sticky edge to really form a solid bond. So here's the matchmaking in action. First, the linker, which has a special cut here spot built right in, attaches itself to that blunt end. Then, a tiny molecular scissor comes in and snips the linker. But here's the cool part. The cut isn't clean. It creates a staggered overhang, that perfect sticky end we were talking about. And just like that, the DNA fragment is ready to be connected to something else. Problem solved.
And just a quick note, because you might also hear people talk about something called an adapter. They're super similar. The main difference is that an adapter already comes with one sticky end ready to go, so you can often skip that cutting step. A linker is what you use when you're starting from scratch with two blunt ends.
Okay, for our last helper, we've got something that is just really cool. It's called the PADRE sequence. If a linker is a matchmaker,
PADRE is like a universal key that can unlock the immune system in almost anybody. So here's the challenge. Every single one of us has a slightly different immune system. You can think of our immune cells as having unique locks on their surface. This is a huge hurdle for making things like universal vaccines, because a key that fits one person's lock might not fit someone else's at all.
And that's where PADRE comes in. It's a synthetic molecule designed for one single purpose, to be a master key. It was engineered from the ground up to bind tightly to a whole bunch of those different immune system locks, which means it can trigger a powerful T-cell response in the vast majority of people. It's brilliant.
So how does this universal key actually work? Well, when a vaccine with PADRE gets into your body, your immune cells gobble it up and process it. The PADRE part then fits perfectly into all sorts of those different locks. And that perfect fit is the signal that activates your helper T cells, which are basically the conductors of the entire immune orchestra. They amplify the whole response, telling your body to make antibodies and everything else it needs.
So, we've met the bodyguard, the matchmaker, and the universal key. Let's kind of zoom out for a second and talk about why these tiny, clever tools are so incredibly important for the future of medicine. The impact is huge. I mean, just look at this. You can see how these tools are at the very foundation of so many different fields. Adjuvants and PADRE are absolutely critical for making better vaccines and for brand new cancer treatments. At the same time, linkers are providing the precision we need for things like gene editing. They're really the gears that make the whole machine of biotechnology turn. So in the end, while we all cheer for the final product, that life-saving vaccine or that groundbreaking therapy, it's these elegant, brilliantly designed little helpers that are doing all the crucial work behind the scenes. They are, truly, the unsung heroes of biotech.
And that kind of leaves us with a really exciting question to think about. We've just looked at 3 of these amazing helpers today, but it makes you wonder, what other invisible tools are scientists dreaming up right now? And which one is going to be the secret ingredient behind the next discovery that changes the world? Thanks so much for joining me.